So in today's video, not only are we going to be going over the top 4 or 5 ARs that are under 10 Benjamin Franklins, but we're also going to cover some mistakes that you should avoid when you are doing your research and selecting them. And we'll go over these briefly. We're not going to spend a ton of time on them because I have a complete video that's kind of dedicated to this. I'll put a little link right up here. That way you can check that video out. Also, I should mention that I will have a parts list available for absolutely everything that we're going to be discussing in today's video. Best way to find that parts list, first link in the description. I'll pin it in the comments, and if you're watching this on your television, I'll put a little QR code up right there. Feel free to pause the video. These are going to be in no particular order, but number 1 is going to be the Radical Firearms AR-15s. Now, these are going to be the most affordable of all of the ones that we're going to talk about today. However, these will have the most sacrifices of all the ones that we're going to talk about today. Now, this one in particular wasn't a complete Radical AR. This was my very first AR that I ever picked up, and it is one that I built out myself. The only part of this that is actually Radical Firearms anymore is going to be the upper receiver and the barrel. I have changed almost everything else out on here. These come with a 4150 chromoly vanadium barrel. They're chambered in 5.56. They have a 1-in-7 twist rate, and they have a mid-length gas system on them. Everything else on these is going to be very, very basic, but because they come in for less than 400 George Washingtons, it is a good value for what you get. The bolt carrier group is your basic phosphate coated bolt carrier group. It is 9310 steel, and they are magnetic particle inspected, but they are not high pressure tested. Additionally, I don't believe the barrels have been magnetic particle inspected or high pressure tested either. For their handguards, they come with 2 different ones. They have the RPR and they have the MHR. Now, although this isn't a Radical Firearms handguard, it is very similar to this. This one has key mod over here, and then out here, it's similar to a quad rail with Picatinny sections. Then they have the RPR rail. However, it's only 3-sided M-LOK. And what I mean by that is if you notice on this rail, there's M-LOK here, 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 here. This is 7-sided M-LOK, and I do prefer that. However, the Radical rail is more similar to this one, where there's only M-LOK on the side, on the bottom, and on the other side. Biggest cons to the Radical AR is obviously, as I mentioned, it's going to have the most sacrifices. However, the pro is it is the most affordable. However, their handguards have a con where they don't have the best attachment method. And what I mean by that is if you look at cheaper ARs, typically the screws that connect it together, they will thread into the handguard itself. And when you have a steel screw going into aluminum threads, the chances of stripping it out are very high, and you can't torque them down too much or you're gonna strip them out. Also, I don't know if the new Radicals are like this, but this one, when I originally got it with the original handguard, it didn't have any type of anti-rotation to keep this rail from spinning. And that's very important if you want to mount optics or lasers onto your handguard, and you have to keep them zeroed. For the furniture on the Radical Firearms, you can either get Mission First Tactical, which is very similar to this stock, but you get a Mission First Tactical grip, or you can get them with B5 Systems stocks and B5 Systems grips. The controls, the safeties, the charging handle, everything on here is very, very basic and mil-spec. Nothing is ambidextrous, and the charging handles aren't extended. So if you do install, say, like an LPVO on here, it's going to be very difficult to grab your charging handle. In a nutshell, they're very basic, but they're very upgradable. Now, this next option is kind of going to be at the top of the budget of the threshold today. This one is the Diamondback DB15 Obsidian. Now, I requested this one from FDC. I'll have more info over at the parts list about FDC. In a nutshell, it's a membership program. You pay like a few bucks a month and you get access to everything on their website for dealer pricing. Similar to Big Daddy Unlimited years ago, but they're not affiliated. Nobody at the company works with Big Daddy Unlimited, and I've been talking to these guys for a couple of years. They didn't sponsor today's video, but I wanted to bring it up because this gun, as configured with the EOTech EXPS3, as well as the Surefire Scout Mini, I was able to pick this up for literally 400 less than I would anywhere else. The rifle itself was 200 less, and then this was 100 or so less, and this was 100 or so less. It's actually a really good deal. I'll have info about it over at the parts list if you want to check it out. But I really wanted to try this guy out because in a few videos ago, I saw a bunch of comments where people were like, you need to try out the new Obsidian. Now, the original DB15, they still make it. It's a little different and they're much more affordable than this model. The original one doesn't have a good handguard like this one. This one is 3-sided M-lock, but it has a very robust attachment method, and it includes anti-rotation on it as well. The most surprising part about this is how light it is. It only comes in at like 6.6 pounds, and it's a full 16 inches long. The barrel on this is also a 4150 chromoly vanadium, and it's a 1-in-8 twist chambered in 5.56 NATO. The bolt carrier group is shot peened, magnetic particle inspected, and it's a phosphate coated mil-spec bolt carrier group. Nothing about it is very special. For the furniture, it includes Magpul CTR stock that has the friction lock right here to prevent wobble, but as you can see, it's still a pretty wobbly stock. They're not my favorites, but it comes with a Magpul K2 grip. For the controls on this one, it is semi-ambidextrous. You have an ambidextrous magazine release. You have enhanced bolt lock bolt release. You have an ambidextrous safety lever, and you have an ambidextrous charging handle on here. Additionally, you can see on the top here that the castle nut was properly staked, and the trigger is basic mil-spec. They come in quite a few different colors. I chose to get mine in OD green, and these typically are around $1,000 doll hair mark, but from FDC, this one was about 800-ish, so quite a bit of money off on these. So it does come well below our threshold of today's video. Now, during my testing of this one, I think I have a little over 650-ish rounds through it right now. I had 0 malfunctions. This thing is just as accurate as I can be. I zeroed this red dot at 100 yards, and I was able to hit a C-zone steel target, no problems. Shooting offhand, standing, well, see the footage yourself. Still a little accurate for a hot ass barrel though. It's easy to shoot fast, it's easy to shoot flat, and it's easy to shoot accurately. The downsides to this is although it has quick detach on the handguard, they don't have steel reinforcements, and also there's no forward assist on here. That might be a con to some people. Doesn't bother me too much. I've never had to use one, but it doesn't mean I won't need to use one. Now, if you notice in the shooting footage, this one is a little bit overgassed out of the box. It comes with a carbine buffer in it. I threw in an H1 buffer, toned it down quite a bit, and made it much more pleasant to shoot. The muzzle brake on it, I'm not the biggest fan of because there's no way to put a blast shield on there. Also, kind of a nitpicky thing is the dust cover that said 5.56 NATO on it that I blacked out myself. Not a big deal, but I will say for the price point of this one, I think it's worth the money. Now, if I would have spent my own money on this at the original price point of $1,000, I would have been a little bit bummed because I got other rifles on today's list that are around that same price point and you get far more for the money. Now, next up on our list is the Springfield Armory St. Victor. I've actually never done a review on this and I've had it for a little over 2 years. Basically, I went to an event a couple of years ago, a training event that was sponsored by Springfield, and they let us go home with these. And I shot a little over 750-ish rounds through this at the training event and I had 0 issues with it. Unfortunately, because I was actually doing the training class, I don't have any footage of me actually shooting this. But these have been quite popular. Some people have had bad experiences with these that I've seen on YouTube, and other people have had good experiences. My experiences were overall good. This one has a 16-inch 4150 chromoly vanadium barrel with a 1-in-8 twist rate, and it's chambered in 5.56. And it includes a mid-length gas system and an H1 buffer. The bolt carrier group on it is an M16 9310 bolt, and it is high pressure tested and magnetic particle inspected. The first two, they weren't high pressure tested, but this one is. The handguard on it is very interesting. You'll see on the top, there is no Picatinny rail. That is good or bad depending on who you are. It's good because it does aid in making it lightweight. It sucks if you want to mount optics on here, but there is a little spot right here for your front sight, and then right here if you have to bridge the gap for your optic. It is 7-sided M-LOK, which I do like, and it does have very good securing attach points and anti-rotation on the handguard. The furniture is probably one of my favorite parts. This has my favorite stock and grip ever on it, which is the BCM Gunfighter stock and the BCM Gunfighter grip. Nothing about this is ambidextrous. I did install this ambidextrous charging handle on it because it didn't include a big charging handle on it, and when you have a scope back here, it's just a lot easier to have a big charging handle. The trigger is mil-spec, but it is a different trigger shoe. It does pull at the standard mil-spec weight, but this trigger shoe is very nice, and if you put a set of JP springs in here, it will lighten it quite a bit. The muzzle device on here is their Springfield Armory muzzle brake. It does not have any quick detach options for different types of suppressors or blast cans or anything like that, so that kind of sucks. These do come in a few different colors, and they did stake the castle nut, which is a good thing right here. These can range anywhere from 700 to 1,000 doll hairs, depending on which version you get, where you get them, if they're on sale. I have some info over at the parts list where you can find them. Overall, I do like this, but I'll be honest, it's just not my first choice in a rifle because I feel like there's other versions around that same price point that are just as good, if not a little bit better. Now, this one here, I do have a complete video breaking down all the ins and outs of this. And the reason I say I have a complete video is we're not gonna have time to go into all the ins and outs about this one. So I'll put my video right up here so you can watch it after this video. But this is a hybrid build I did. So the lower, we're not gonna pay attention to because that's a primary weapon system's lower, but you can get these as complete rifles. And they currently come in 2 flavors. Number 1 is the forged line, and number 2 is their billet line, and this is the Palmetto State Armory Sabers. The original video I did was on the billet line, but I did do a comparison to the forged line, and then since that point in time, I got the forged line. These are probably gonna be my favorite pre-builts that are on today's list for a bunch of different reasons. Number 1, they all come with an upgraded Springco buffer spring. They come with upgraded takedown pins. They come with a Hyperfire Duties trigger that pulls at a very clean and crisp 4 pounds. They come with anti-walk trigger pins. They come with a Radian 4590 ambidextrous safety selector. They come with a Radian charging handle. And all of those things that I just mentioned alone, if you were to put those upgrades onto your AR, it would cost you about 289 doll hairs. The furniture that's included on these, you have quite a few different choices. You can get them with B5, you can get them with Magpul, you can get them with PSA Saber branded furniture, and they even have the classic A1 style stocks and grips. The coolest part about these compared to all the others that we've mentioned so far is you can get these in multiple barrel lengths. So not only can you get these in 16-inch and 18-inch, but you can also get these as a 13.7-inch pin welded version like this one, or you can get them in 14.5-inch pin welded. You can also get these with either 416R stainless steel barrels. You can get them with cold hammer forged barrels that are made by FN, or you can get them with a 4150 chromoly vanadium barrels, just kind of depending on what your flavor is. Some of the barrels are 1 in 7 twist rate, some of them are 1 in 8 twist rate. The ones that are built for accuracy are typically chambered in 223 wild, and the ones that are kind of built for rugged use are chambered in 556 NATO. I believe all of them have a mid-length gas system on them, but some of them you can get an adjustable gas block, and some of them come with a non-adjustable gas block. For the bolt carrier group, they all come with the MicroBest Fathers of Freedom bolt carrier group. It's actually a very high quality bolt carrier group that's magnetic particle inspected, high pressure tested, is properly staked. It comes with the right gas key fasteners, and it has a reinforced extractor, all kinds of cool stuff. And they sell those bolt carrier groups separately, but you can never find them in stock because so many people want them. In addition to different barrel sizes, you can get these with different muzzle devices. So you can get them with the JMac, Chemo, or Key Micro. You can get Surefire muzzle devices that have the Surefire quick detach on them. You can get them with a Silencer Co. muzzle device, a Saber muzzle device, AAC, Advanced Armament, Huxworks, etc. There's a ton of different options on the website, and I'll have all the info over at the parts list if you want to check it out. For the handguards, they have quite a few different versions of handguards that you could choose from. They have the Saber QD rail with reinforced quick detach on them. They have the Saber lockup rail, which is this one, and it's one that I don't recommend because it's not user serviceable. If you want to know more, go watch the video that I told you where I did a breakdown on this, but I don't recommend this one because you can't remove it yourself, and that kind of sucks. They have a Saber knurled slant rail, they have a quad rail, and then my favorite of all is they have the Geisley rails. And the Geisley rails have the reinforced QD. This is a 3-sided M-lock. The ones that have Geisley rails also come with FN cold hammer forged barrels, and they come with the Geisley gas block that is cross-pinned into place. Overall, the best spec that you can get on the Saber line, in my opinion, is the one with the Geisley handguard and the FN barrels. They do kind of go a little bit over the 1,000 doll hair mark in today's video, but not much. However, you don't have to get the Geisley handguard. If you choose to not go with that, you can still get it with a cold hammer forged barrel, and you get them for around the $850 doll hair mark, which isn't really that bad. At the range, when I was testing these and shooting them for the video, they shot incredibly flat. They were incredibly accurate, just as accurate as I could be, and I had 0 malfunctions with them. We still got another one to cover, but so far on today's list, these are my favorites of all of them. However, if you want the best, it's gonna go a little bit beyond the pricing threshold of today's video, so keep that in mind. This next one is probably gonna be my all-time favorite way to try to get a rifle under the 1,000 doll hair mark with all the best specs possible, and that's gonna be a custom build that you do yourself from the ground up. This one, I'm just holding it for example purposes, but this is one that I built from the ground up. This one is an integrated folding adapter built into the receiver itself. Now this one obviously doesn't fall under the threshold of today's video, but I mention it because I do believe if you are kind of mechanically inclined, the best way to do a good AR for under a certain price threshold is to do a build yourself. Now, if you haven't ever built an AR and you don't even know where to start, I do have an online course for that. I'll pin the link to that course down in the description below. I'm not telling you have to go out and get it. I used to put all the videos here on YouTube, and then years ago, YouTube changed the rules. You'll still see some gun tubers uploading tutorials on how to build stuff. However, as soon as YouTube catches them, they will completely delete their channel. That's why I don't do it anymore. And then after that, I used to put them onto other video platforms and then link to them from YouTube. And then YouTube decided to start giving me strikes because I linked to tutorials. Then YouTube told me if you put it behind a paywall, we won't give you strikes. And that's the only reason that I have an online course for this. And there is a paywall, not that expensive, no monthly fees, you just pay the money, you get access to all the stuff, and I keep it updated regularly. It's not anything special. I did take my time on filming it and trying to get the best information out there. So feel free to check it out if you want to. If not, it's not a big deal. The reason I bring that up is my very first AR-15 I showed you earlier, I built it myself because I wanted to understand all the intricacies of how these things worked. And I wanted to make sure that if anything went wrong with these, that I could fix them, because once you build it and you know how it works, you can fix them yourself. You don't really need to take them to a gunsmith except for certain things. But the coolest part about building is you get to choose every single part that you want to put on the gun, and you don't have any wasted parts left over when you're finished. So of the 5 different variations that we talked about today, which one would I choose and why? Well, number 1 would obviously be the custom build. Number 2 would be the PSA Saber. I would go with the forged line, not the billet line. Number 3 would be the Diamondback DB15 Obsidian, but only if I could get it for the price point that I got this one for. And then number 2, the Springfield Armory St. Victor. And then number 1 would be the Radical Firearms. And honestly, when you compare like the Springfield Victor to say the Diamondback DB15, or even to the PSA Saber, these 3 right here are so close in price point that you just get the best value with the Saber line. And that's just my opinion. Now, if you want to know how to make a cheap AR-15 feel expensive, then I highly recommend you go check out this video right here. But until next time, guys, I love you, and you guys stay sexy.